Hi, my name is Bob Howell with Iowa State University Horticulture Extension. Like most gardeners, I've tried starting plants from cuttings. Some were successful, like sedum. Of course, you can throw sedum on the gravel driveway and it will root there. But there are many other plants that did not work. Many of the plants failed because since cuttings don't have roots, they can't absorb moisture, but they still lose it through their leaves. So I'd take cuttings, I'd put them in a plastic pot, and I'd put a plastic bag over the whole works and put it someplace where I thought it would grow. A lot of times the cuttings would rot before they root. Then I found out about a 4-size pot. You'll start with a plastic pot, put a piece of paper towel or landscape fabric on the bottom to cover up the holes, and add your rooting medium. Vermiculite, perlite, and peat moss or sand are commonly used. This is a combination of equal parts peat moss, perlite, and vermiculite. You'll fill your container about 3/4 full. Then you'll take your water reservoir, and this is a clay pot, unglazed clay, terracotta, and I sealed the hole on the bottom with epoxy cement. You can also probably use a hot glue gun as well, and I'll work that into the middle. So the top of the clay pot is about the same level as the plastic pot. Now, fill in a little bit more along the edges, and it doesn't matter if you get some of that rooting medium inside the clay pot, it will float out eventually. Fill it to within about 1/4 inch of the rims. It will settle some. And give it a thorough watering. You'll let that drain for about 2 hours, and then you'll be ready to stick your cuttings. Softwood cuttings are usually taken from new growth that has grown this year, and then they're taken in late spring to early summer. The growth should be flexible, but should snap if bent sharply. And the roots will form on the nodes where the leaves are attached. So what I'll do is I will strip the lower leaves off, and they'll be ready for cutting. Now, I'll take these cuttings in the morning when we're filled with moisture, and I'll also put them in a plastic bag, keeping them cool until I'm ready to stick them in the 4-size pot. These cuttings were taken earlier, and they're ready to stick. Now, plants do what they do according to their hormones. They're sort of like teenagers in that respect. So, it helps to use some rooting hormone available at most garden centers. And what we'll do is we'll take some rooting hormone and tap it into this other container so you don't contaminate your original rooting hormone. And then we'll dip the cuttings, the base of the cuttings, in rooting hormone according to label directions. Tap that off a little bit. We'll do another one. What I'm going to do is I'll make a hole in this potting medium before I stick the cuttings so the rooting hormone doesn't get pushed off. I'll firm that in. I'll do another cutting right here. Try not to rub that rooting compound off. Firm that in, and I'll do the whole works all the way around, and then I will water it in, and I'll make sure I fill the reservoir, and from here on that reservoir needs to be pretty full, and we'll water the cuttings once a day. Now, these cuttings will need light to survive, but too much sun is going to fry them. So I put them on the north side of my house where it gets plenty of good indirect sun, but very little direct sun, basically early in the morning or late in the evening. I'll leave them there for about 4 to 6 weeks. Check on them by pulling to see if they're rooted, and as soon as they're rooted in 4 to 6 weeks, I'll be able to pot them up. We'll start out with sedum. Sedum, like I said, is pretty easy to root. I'll take that clay pot out of the middle and pry these out. You can see that they look like they're pretty well rooted in there. And that's got a nice root system. I'll try and clean it off just a little bit. And that cutting is ready to go either into a plastic pot or a nursery bed. We'll leave that in there until spring. This is one that I really like called Lillian Gibson. It's a thornless rose. I've got a hedge right next to the lawn. I can mow right up to it, and I don't get cut at all. This one feels like it's got some roots on it. Yes, it does. Oh, I'm excited about this. I really like this rose. Now, that's got a good root system on it. This is Bob Hauer with Iowa State University Extension, and thanks for stopping by.